All right, so after Peyton Manning was selected, Percy Harvin went, then Steve Smith of Carolina, Marshawn Lynch, Brandon Lloyd, Mike Wallace, Frank Gore, Steven Jackson, RG3, and Ahmad Bradshaw, and Matt Schaub was just selected. This is getting into the 6th round at this point. So the remaining quarterbacks are, by my rankings, Roethlisberger, Cutler, Palmer, Josh Freeman, Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Joe Flacco, Jake Locker, and Alex Smith. There are 4 picks left. Jordy Nelson just went, man, I wish I could get Jordy Nelson in the 6th round of every draft. Antonio Brown also went before him, and then after Nelson was Jay Cutler. So 3 picks left. If Roethlisberger's there, I'm going to slam him into my second quarterback spot here. And if not, I will more than likely take another wide receiver. Miles Austin, Jeremy Maclin, Marquez Colston, Des Bryant, Kenny Britt, Dwayne Bowe, and actually Aaron Hernandez should also enter the discussion. He's basically a wide receiver anyway. Those guys are all at the top of the Yahoo rankings, and we can consult the Greg Smith fake football rankings when we get there. But at this point, I'm praying for Big Ben. We'll see what happens. This guy who's picking now only has one quarterback, and it's Andrew Luck. So I wouldn't be surprised if he jumps on a QB here. And the guy after him also only has one quarterback. So I'm not going to get my hopes up here. We'll see what happens. Let's figure out what wide receiver I'm going to take if it comes down to that. So I think Maclin is the highest ranked. I have Maclin, Des Bryant, and Marquez Colston all within 3 picks of each other. Des Bryant was just selected, though, along with Demaryius Thomas. I don't know if I mentioned that pick. So we got one guy picking here before us. And the way things tend to go in fantasy drafts, he'll probably take Roethlisberger. Just when you think someone's going to slip to you, they always just go right before you're about to pick. But, like I said, you never know. This guy has Breeze, Fitzgerald, Harvin, Ryan Matthews, and Trent Richardson. I could see him going running back here also to fill his flex and to kind of back up these 2 injury risks that he's got, but you never know. People are unpredictable, especially in public leagues such as this. I'm definitely not upset with having Peyton Manning as my number 1 quarterback. Aaron Hernandez was selected, so like I said, I'm just going to jump on Roethlisberger. And with 2 auto picks coming up, I'm going to see what wide receivers, or maybe, do I want a tight end here? Finley, Vernon Davis, Fred Davis. Nah, I'm a chronic tight end waiter. I do not take them this early very often, especially in a 2 quarterback league. So when it comes back to me, Maclin or Colston or maybe Vincent Jackson. Is he still available? He sure is. So I think one of those 3 guys is going to be my next pick. I'm hoping it's Maclin. He's the guy I like the most out of that group. So here goes Big Ben as my second quarterback. We'll see what the auto drafter ends up with. Marquez Colston with one of his picks. I think that fills him up on starting wide receivers. He needs a second running back. His only running back right now is Darren Sproles. Yeah, he took Dwayne Bowe. All right, so he likes his wide receivers. I'm going to jump on Jeremy Maclin here. I'll just double check, make sure I'm not missing out on any quality running backs. Reggie Bush, the law firm, Roy Halou, who hasn't seen the drop in ranking as should be appropriate for what's been going on with the Denver running game in the news. Basically that Evan Royster is probably going to be the starter. Peyton Hillis is coming up in the rankings. I might want to jump on him to kind of handcuff Jamal Charles, although I'm not a huge fan of handcuffing. And QBs, Carson Palmer's the top guy here, but now that I've got Manning and Ben Roethlisberger, I'm going to wait. Probably try and back them up with, I don't know, someone in the Jake Locker, Matt Castle area. Although Carson Palmer would be a pretty sweet 3rd option. Anyway, but I want another wide receiver here. I only have 1 so far. I'm going to take Maclin. And I'll be back in a little bit to recap the round 7 picks. All right, so after Maclin, Carson Palmer went, then Josh Freeman, then Reggie Bush, Vincent Jackson, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, Stevie Johnson, Vernon Davis, Andy Dalton, and Miles Austin. With all those QBs off the board, we're looking at Fitzpatrick, Flacco, Locker, and Alex Smith as my top-ranked guys. If Fitzpatrick makes it back to me here, I'm probably just going to take him and cement myself as having 3 quarterbacks and not have to worry about the position anymore. Mostly just because the wide receivers coming back here are not super exciting. And I like a lot of them relatively equally. I mean, Kenny Britt, Deshaun Jackson, Eric Decker, Torrey Smith, Pierre Garçon, Denarius Moore. All these guys are on a relatively similar power level to me. Like they're probably all close to the same tier. After Miles Austin was selected, Jermichael Finley, Isaac Redmond, Jonathan Stewart, Willis McGahee, Deshaun Jackson, and Eric Decker were picked. I do like the upside of Kenny Britt, especially with Jake Locker taking over as the quarterback in Tennessee. Let's see where he falls in the wide receiver rankings. Right now, I've got him buried pretty far down here behind guys like Deshaun Jackson, Torrey Smith, and I guess not behind that many guys, Malcolm Floyd. I might actually have to push Britt up my rankings going forward. With that said, I think I could be okay just taking a QB here because the guy at the wheel still only has the 1, and he is on auto draft. I'm not exactly sure what that means. It probably means that he ranked a bunch of these guys himself, and he had wide receivers above most of these other running backs and quarterbacks. So with that in mind, he needs a running back and a quarterback, a kicker, and a defense, and Yahoo tends to fill these things out in auto draft before putting players on your bench. So it stands to reason that when it gets back to him, the top ranked quarterback, running back, kicker, or defense, those 2 players are going to end up on his team. One of which is going to be Kenny Britt, or not Kenny Britt, because that's a wide receiver. He could end up with a running back or a QB. The top ranked QB by Yahoo is Joe Flacco. And I have Fitzpatrick ahead of Flacco. I might just... Let's see. What running backs are available too? We should keep checking in on this. Nobody too thrilling. I think I'm going to take Britt here and just take whichever quarterback is left on the way back. And yeah, that seems like a decent play here. What tight ends are available? Fred Davis, Jason Witten, Brandon Pettigrew. Yeah, I'm going to keep waiting on tight end. I've been all in on Kyle Rudolph lately. It seems like he's going to be a big part of the Vikings offense. I guess the one thing to consider is that if he has Fitzpatrick ranked ahead of Flacco in his own rankings, he's going to end up with that. But I honestly don't really care which one of these guys is as far as being my backup goes. So I'm going to take Britt, shore up my 3rd wide receiver spot, and we'll see what our auto picker does. D'Angelo Williams was one of his picks, so that was the running back spot he needed to fill. And so now a QB probably? Oh no, it ended up giving him a kicker. He got Sebastian Janikowski. Man, auto draft is the worst. Alright, so Flacco or Fitzpatrick? Yahoo likes Flacco more. I like Fitzpatrick more. They're pretty close. I do like this rushing yardage advantage that Fitzpatrick has, but I don't know. Which one of these guys is going to throw more? And the story coming out of last season was that Fitzpatrick was hurt for most of the year, kind of after he had that ridiculous start. And that was why he tailed off towards the end of the season and threw all these interceptions. I'm not totally sold on that excuse. I think that he might just not be a very good quarterback. But with that said, I don't know if Joe Flacco's that good of a quarterback either. And they're kind of a running team first. They play defense and pound Ray Rice. Buffalo might be doing the same thing this year with Spiller and Fred Jackson and their improved defense. But I think, yeah, I'm just going to go with my rankings. I'm going to take Fitzpatrick here. And we'll see you for the next recap of picks coming up very soon. All right, so after Fitzpatrick went, then it was Nate Washington, Fred Davis, Torrey Smith, the Niners defense. Why, people? Denarius Moore, Titus Young, the Steelers defense, Pierre Garçon, Sean Green, Robert Meacham, and David Akers. Oh, God, David Akers. At least the guy who picked the first kicker has a kicker reference with his team name. Laces out, Dan. Kind of a tired one, but always effective. I got 5 picks coming up here before it's my turn, and I'm looking running back. I'm also considering a tight end. The top ranked guys by my rankings are Witten, Pettigrew, Gonzalez, Selleck, Rudolph, Gresham, Tammy, and Owen Daniels. And I don't really trust Witten at this point with his broken spleen. I do like Pettigrew and Tony Gonzalez a fair amount, but I might wait for the Selleck, Rudolph, Gresham plan. The next few picks were Kevin Smith, Roy Halou, and Santonio Holmes. Kevin Smith, man, this guy, Cromartie's kids, is putting together a nice little team. He's got Vic and Ryan at QB, Mike Wallace, Jordy Nelson, Denarius Moore at wide receiver, LaShawn McCoy, DeMarco Murray, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, Jonathan Stewart, and Kevin Smith at running back. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the law firm, but he is going to score some touchdowns at least. After Santonio Holmes, Michael Bush was selected, and then Peyton Hillis was taken. So that kind of bums out my handcuff idea, but there's still a lot of quality running backs to be had here. There's Donald Brown. I think he's fine. Michael LeSure, Mark Ingram, Pierre Thomas, Jaquiz Rogers. Rogers is an interesting name. And I'm assuming that Rashad Jennings is down here somewhere. He sure is. And he might end up starting for the Jaguars if MJD continues his holdout. Let's look at the wide receivers too. Sidney Rice, Hayward Bay, Greg Little, Blackman, Mike Williams, Bolden, Malcolm Floyd. I do like Malcolm Floyd. I think I could probably get him with my next pick, though. I will take a look at my running back rankings. I've got Donald Brown and Evan Royster and CJ Spiller as my next 3 guys, but I'm considering bumping Rashad Jennings up to this spot. It's a gamble. You know, I've gambled enough. Let's take a known quantity here. I'm going to take Donald Brown. He's at the top of my rankings. I said I'd stick to those, so here I go. And I could take another running back. I could jump on Malcolm Floyd here. I do like Floyd a lot. Let's see, what do my bye weeks look like? Uh-oh. Jeremy Maclin and Julio Jones have the same bye week. And they share that bye week with Malcolm Floyd. So maybe that wouldn't be the greatest pick here. The 2 picks after I went there were the Baltimore defense and Joe Flacco. I kind of wonder if that auto drafter is just here in the draft and he's putting players in his queue and leaving himself on auto pick. You know, I might just take Rashad Jennings here. I think I can wait on wide receiver a little bit more. There are a lot of guys I like deeper down in the rankings, like your Danny Amendolas, your Steve Smiths of the Rams. Some of these other guys too. I mean, I've taken Randy Moss, I think, in both draft videos so far. I like Alshon Jeffrey, Michael Floyd. Could be okay. I'm not sold on him yet. Yeah, I don't know. I like my wide receiver core as it is right now. I think a running back would not be the worst pick here, and the upside of Rashad Jennings at this point in the 11th round, that could really pay off. So we're going to add him to the team. Going against the rankings a little bit here, but I think it's for the best. I'll be back in a moment for another pick recap.